everyone, welcome to Sweet Pea Stitch Inspirations. My name is Sydney and today we are going to learn how to do the Tunisian weave stitch, which is a 2-row repeat. And when I say 2-row repeat with Tunisian, I do not count the return pass as a row. So it is strictly the forward passes is what I consider repeating rows. And we are going to be using the Tunisian simple stitch along with the Tunisian purled slip stitch. Now, if you don't know how to do the purled slip stitch, I will be demonstrating on how to do that in today's tutorial. So you are going to need to chain up a multiple of 2. I have 12 stitches here. Again, you can do any multiple of 2. And we're going to start off with our foundation rows, which is pulling up a loop and then doing our return pass. So of course, with Tunisian crochet, this very first loop on our hook always counts as 1. So you will not go into the stitch here, you'll go into the next. So we're going to go ahead and do our foundation row, and I like to go in that back bump and just draw up a loop. So we're going to go ahead and continue repeating that until you have made it to the end. So again, I'm just going in that back bump of the chain stitches and drawing up a loop. And once I have gotten this row completed, I will have 12 loops on my hook, or how many ever loops you have created. Now that I have gotten all of my loops on my hook, I am going to do a return pass. So we are going to go ahead and chain 1, so yarn over and pull through 1. And to do our return pass, we're just going to yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2 until we have only 1 loop left on our hook. So a very basic return pass. So go ahead and continue repeating that until you have made it to where there's only 1 loop left on your hook. Now we're going to work on the first row repeat. So of course, this very first stitch here always counts as our first stitch. So we will not be working in these side stitches here. We're going to go straight to the next stitch. So again, we won't be working on these side stitches. We're going to go straight to the next stitch. And we are going to start off with a Tunisian simple stitch. So you want to make sure that your working yarn is on the back side of your work. And we're going to go ahead and insert our hook from right to left in that front vertical bar. So if you look at the stitch, there is a front vertical bar here, and then there's a back vertical bar that's on the back side of our work. We are going to go into that front vertical bar from right to left, and then we are going to go ahead and draw up a loop. So that is a Tunisian simple stitch. And now we are going to do the Tunisian slip stitch purl. So we're going to bring our working yarn on the front side of our hook. We're going to go ahead and insert our hook into that stitch as if we were to do a simple stitch, but we're not going to work this stitch. We're just going to move this working yarn here that we have at the front of our work. We're just going to move it to the back side, so where it's kind of like a float. So that is a Tunisian slip stitch purled. So again, we won't actually be working the stitch. we're just moving this working yarn in front of that stitch to where it kind of looks like a float. And now we are going to make a Tunisian simple stitch, so making sure that your working yarn is in the back side of your work. And we're going to go to the next stitch, and we are going to insert our hook from right to left into that front vertical bar and draw up a loop. So again, we are going to do a Tunisian simple, or not Tunisian simple, but a Tunisian slip stitch purled. So go ahead and place your working yarn in the front of your hook, go into the next stitch, insert your hook from right to left, and then now you can move your working yarn to the back side of your work. Again, we are not actually working this stitch here. We're just moving the working yarn in front of that stitch, and it's going to act like a float. And now we're going to go into the next stitch and insert our hook from right to left and place a simple stitch. So all we're doing here is alternating between the Tunisian simple stitch and the Tunisian slip stitch purl. To have that simple stitch made, we are going to then do our Tunisian slip stitch purl. So go ahead and making sure that your working yarn is in the front side of your hook. Go into that stitch from right to left, and then just move your working yarn to the back side of your work. Go into the next stitch and place a simple stitch. So go ahead and continue repeating that until you have made it to the last stitch. And you should leave off with the Tunisian slip stitch purled. And now into that chain one that we made for our return pass, we are going to go ahead and insert our hook into both of those loops there and go ahead and draw up a loop. And now we can do our return pass. So again, our return pass is to chain one and then pull through two. Pull through two and pull through two until you have made it to where now you only have one loop left on your hook. So now that you have one loop left on your hook, again, that always counts as the very first stitch, so we will not be working these side stitches here. So now we have to kind of offset our stitches so that we're not stacking our stitches right on top of each other. So the first two stitches here, we are going to do a Tunisian simple stitch. So go ahead and insert your hook into that front vertical bar and place a Tunisian simple stitch in the first and also the second stitch. So once you have both of those simple stitches made in the first and second stitch, now we can do a Tunisian slip stitch purl. So go ahead and making sure that your working yarn is in the front side of your hook. Insert your hook into that stitch and then move your working yarn to the back side of your work to now where you have a float going on here. Making sure you do not work this stitch. And then we're going to go to the next stitch and make a simple stitch. So we're just going to again alternate between the Tunisian simple stitch and the Tunisian slip stitch purled. So go ahead and continue repeating that until you have made it to the very last stitch, and then I will meet you for that stitch. So I left off with a Tunisian simple stitch, and now into that chain one of our return pass, we're going to go ahead and insert our hook into that stitch and go ahead and draw up a loop. And then we are going to chain 1, so yarn over and draw up 1 loop. And then we're going to pull through 2, pull through 2, and pull through 2 until you have reached where you only have 1 loop left on your hook. And those are the 2 row repeats for our Tunisian weave stitch. You'll go ahead and continue repeating that until your desired length. And then once you're ready to bind off, you'll continue working in pattern and bind off like you typically would with Tunisian. But that is the end of this tutorial. If you did enjoy this video, please don't forget to give this video a like, share, comment, or subscribe. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you for hanging out with me, and I will see you in the next tutorial.